to attend this seminar. I think I can count now that about 19 people who attend this seminar now. In most cases, I would say, at least when I was a student like yourself, you probably say that, okay, look, you're a very diligent student, you're curious, I mean, you want to be excellent in everything that you're doing, you have this sort of tenacity to really achieve something, and you just love to learn as well. And perhaps most importantly, you want to solve problems. So these are some kind of, I call it bug in your tummy that makes you feel, I think I should consider going to a graduate school. Maybe I would do a master's degree, or maybe I'll do a PhD. And then you turn this problem, issues around in your mind, and you are trying to you're seeking an answer, so to speak. So I would sort of take it that is probably what got you to this point, that you're looking for answers to the fact that you consider yourself in the first place to be a material for graduate school, and you're asking yourself, am I really one? What do I need to do to get there? But more importantly, is the fact that just as an undergraduate student, you will find that over time, things are changing. Now, on the left side of the pane here, I've took a quote from a Harvard Business Review journal, where it says that the number of people enrolling in the university continues to rise effectively, and can you mute yourself? Can everybody mute themselves for the time being so that we don't have the echo? Okay, so what the article was on about was the fact that these days it's just not enough to have an undergraduate degree, because it seems everyone has one. It's like, say, for example, in Nigeria, you have a school certificate. What job can you get? Maybe you become a clerk, and what kind of salary can you get? What kind of lifestyle will you have? Think about all of that. The same thing is happening to the undergraduate degree. Is becoming something that almost everybody is having, which in a way devalues it. So a lot of companies actually are thinking, for you to actually be useful for them, they want you to have a master's degree minimum, or in some cases, even a PhD. So you then ask yourself, why do I need to do it? Some of the reasons that you might want to sort of consider doing your going to graduate school to do a master's degree, or to even do, say, for example, to go on to do a PhD, if that's what fancies your catches your fancy. One of the reasons that a lot of people do this is because they want to improve their earning potential. Because I can tell you, unless you are a bad PhD, if you're bad, if you're not good, if you're good, you can earn a lot of money. You can earn a lot of money. And at this point, just to sort of talk about in terms of earning potential, I would talk about a small story, which might sort of open your mind towards what it means to do a PhD. I happen to know a young Nigerian who came to my university to do a PhD. In fact, he came to do PhD in mathematics, applied mathematics. Olumide did his PhD in applied mathematics, and he more or less did it between my university and the University of Adelaide. Now, he did his PhD in the area of modeling energy demand. Energy is a big thing in the world today. I mean, even in Nigeria, we are feeling a crunch in terms of the petrol subsidy has been removed. Energy is a big issue, has always been a big issue in the world. Countries go to war. So he did his PhD in the area of modeling energy. And when he finished, he got a job with a company that is a consulting company that does energy management, energy modeling, and so on and so forth. I can tell you this, because of the way this guy conducts himself, his knowledge, his ability, he became one of the consultants, advisors to the Prime Minister of Australia. Olumide became one of the consultants and advisors to the Prime Minister of Australia on energy matters. Now, he has gone on now to Saudi Arabia. Saudi decided to build a big, it's a new city that's supposed to be zero emission, energy neutral, this kind of stuff in a way. That whole project, Olumide now is the project manager for that whole project. So he's working in Saudi. I don't need to tell you. You can imagine what he's earning, So I met him in France last 2 weeks ago. I was in France. I met him, and he told me, "Prof, you cannot believe how my life has changed." Now that's a PhD. So people that think a PhD you cannot, it's just you're going to go and teach, you're going to go and do, big mistake. Is because you don't want to do something else. If you want to teach, you can, and you still make money as well. Even with that, you will do well for yourself if you're good. So it's about being good. So some people would go to graduate school because they want to upgrade their earning potential. It's a good idea, and if that's your goal, I think it's good. Go for it. Some people will go to graduate school because they want to change their career path. Say, for example, maybe in your undergraduate studies, you did engineering. You might say, I want to change my career and become a computer scientist, or I want to become something else. That could be another way to change your career. Maybe you have a bachelor's degree in one area, you have a PhD in another area, or master's degree in another area. Again, a small story. One of my collaborators in research, Dr. Ramakrishna Kakarala. We have some very nice paper we co-authored. If you look at my list of my publications, you see Ram's name there. Ram did his bachelor's degree in engineering and then did his PhD in mathematics. I have worked with Ram. He went on to work for Hewlett-Packard. He worked for Avaya. He worked for, when I was working for Motorola, he was working as an academic in Auckland. That was how we met. And he has published many patents. He's a very successful engineer. But what really marks him very different from most engineers is the fact that this business of having a PhD in mathematics and bachelor's degree in engineering, Ram solves problem in a way that you can imagine. It's just novel. His insight into the basis of problems, how to formulate the problem, how to cast some kind of solutions, beautiful solutions, elegant solutions for problems. So it could be that you want to change your career path. That's also a good way to think about it. And it could be that you want to specialize in a particular area and make yourself to be in big demand. Say, for example, everybody's talking about artificial intelligence these days. They're talking about machine learning. They're talking about robotics. They're talking about natural language processing. That could be something you might want to say, I want to go and specialize in a particular area because I think there's going to be a lot of demand for that particular specialization. That's also a good and worthy reason why you might want to go to graduate school. And one of the things that will happen to you when you go to graduate school is that you have a set of friends at IFE right now that are your classmates, and they will be your classmates forever. I have my classmates when I went to IFE. We still meet, and we have a WhatsApp group that we get together and talk about a lot of reminisce about our days at IFE. But one of the things that you get when you go to graduate school is that you'll find some very smart people, smart like yourself, smarter than yourself, slightly less smart than you are, but you meet a lot of people, and in the process, you make connections, important connections for your life. So that could be also another reason why you might want to say, look, I want to go to graduate school so I can meet more people that have got the same kind of way I think, they have the same way in which I think. It's also a good reason why you want to do it. And it could be that you just want to follow your passion. You just love to have higher education. You want to maybe you want to go and do research. You want to discover something new. You want to make an impact in the world. All of these reasons are good reasons to go to graduate school. Now, a bad reason to go to graduate school is to just say, I just want to go and study something. It doesn't matter. It's just the next step. That would be a bad reason to go to graduate school because, one, it costs you money. Number two, it's hard. It's hard work. So if you're pursuing something that you do not have interest in and it's costing you money, then why are you doing it? So make sure that you have got a good reason. Sit down with yourself and decide why you want to do it. Now, but whatever reason you want to pick up as your reason for going to graduate school, that becomes your goal. And also it becomes your starting point, because my way of looking at all of this is that you start with the end in mind. Okay, I want to run a mile. So if I want to run a mile, I will go backwards and say, okay, a mile is my goal. That's the end. Now, what do I need to do every day to be able to run a mile on the appointed day? Maybe that I wake up every morning, I do some exercises, I do some weights, eat good food, and so on and so forth. So on the day that I need to run a mile, I'm ready to be able to do it. So you start with the end in mind. What is it that is your goal for wanting to go to graduate school? Keep that in your mind, don't unshaken. And when I say unshaken, in the sense, I mean that in the sense that you've taken some time to sit down to formulate that reason why you want to go to graduate school. So it becomes something that really that pulls you towards your goal. It just pulls you all the time, becomes a motivation, so to speak. So we need to have a reason, and that reason, only you can decide what that reason is going to be. Okay, now, so the key point is this. You need a paradigm shift. Whatever, I hope you have some kind of outlook on life right now. But if you do not have one, I'm going to give you one today. Many years ago, I read some books about life in general. Just like you are growing up now, I was a young person and I was reading stuff and all that. And some of the books I read made me feel that really, you know, in the end, it seems to me that everybody is trying to form a company. Now, so your undergraduate studies, during that period, what are you doing? You're trying to build a company. You are trying to build a company. And that company, you want it to be a specialist company. A specialist company in the sense that it's a specialized company that maybe in control theory, in communications, in instrumentation, in power systems, or whatever could be what your company wants to specialize in, or probably in AI, for example, or in energy issues or whatever. Now, you give your company a name. The name of my company is Philip Incorporated. So what's the name of your company? What's the name of your company?
Emmanuel Incorporated.
Exactly, exactly. So that's the name of your company. Now, imagine that you have this company. How will you feed yourself? The only way you can feed yourself is that people really look for your services, right? So if your company is one of these companies that cannot provide good services, nobody will contract your service. So you will not be able to really perform the job. If you can't perform the job, you cannot get contract. You cannot get anybody to contract you to come and do something for them and pay you. So now that means something. You want your company to be a company that can solve problems, important problems that people care about. So you need to have deep understanding of the principles of your area of study. So that gives me that number two when I say I need a deep understanding of the principles of my field of study. In our case here, at least in IFE, in this group of people here, unless we have other people from other department, your field of study is EE. And that goes from electronics to electrical, all the instrumentation, control theory, control systems, power systems, power engineering, and so on and so forth. Yeah. So you want to have a deep understanding of what that field is all about, because that's what you want to sell to people. And I'm going to, as we go on now, you begin to see why this idea makes sense. Now, you want to solve important problems for people. You're lucky already to have chosen a profession or a field of study that is important for the economy. In any economy you find in the world, EE is important. EE is needed everywhere. So you already made a good decision to place yourself at a point in the economy where people need your services. But now people need services of the type that you can give. But how well can you do it? That's where the number two comes in. And I say, you need to have a deep understanding of the principles of your field so you can offer superior services that will be difficult to copy or replicate by any other company. That's how you have advantage. That's the only way you can have an advantage. That you have got, say, for example, if you want to compete with Google today, you know how much effort you need to be able to compete with Google? It's going to be big. We haven't seen another company that does similar things that Google does as well as they do it today, because they have made sure that they have a deep understanding of the principles of what they do, to the point where for you to compete against them, you have a lot of work to do. They have superior advantage. That's what that deep understanding gives you. And then on top of that, you want to make sure that you are continuously adapting and reinventing yourself to stay relevant. Now, if most of you know how Amazon started as a what? As a bookstore, online bookstore. That was how Jeff Bezos started. He was a fund manager in New York in the stock exchange before he then said, okay, he left that business and started selling books online. And he said, well, I want to make sure that people can buy books in the comfort of their homes and still be able to sort of go through those pages as if they're in the physical bookshop. Now, that requires a little technology that he himself, because he did not do EE. His area of work is fund management and stock, not stockbroker, but actually in terms of buying stock and selling stock, that kind of stuff. So now, but he made sure that he found enough people around him to be able to help him to build that business. But over time, you can see how eventually they realize that, you know what, we're not just a bookseller. We're actually a platform for people to sell stuff. We're a marketplace. So the concept of building that platform where other sellers can come and sell their stuff and help them to be able to sort of showcase their wares to people, to have a look at it. That's what I call reinventing yourself, to the point where today, now they know that they need to sort of not only have a large area to store things, to do computation. We now have AWS, the Amazon Web Services, where you can do a lot of stuff. And that also is a business for him. But apart from that, the fact that they're even gone into robotics, that's how they're adapting and reinventing themselves over time. And you can only do this when, one, you have vision, and also you have a deep understanding of the field that you are in. So please do not think that what you're learning in school is useless. It's useless because you have not been able to use it. Whatever you learn in school is useless because you have not been able to use it, not because it is useless. In fact, I'm sorry to put it this way, you are the useless person if you can't find use for it. It's not that thing that is useless. No, it's because we have not been able to find use for it. So I call this a paradigm shift, that you see yourself today as a company that has the capacity to solve problems for people, problems that people care about. And then you want to be the one that can solve it in the best possible way that they will pay you for it. Because if you can't solve that problem, why should they pay you? So you form a company called You Incorporated. Mine is called Philip Incorporated. Yours is Adisa Incorporated, Bumi Incorporated. I'm just looking at names on here, Favor, James Incorporated, and so on and so forth. So put it that way. Now, let me give you one more point that you want to think about when it comes to this. Now, when you go for an interview to get a job, be very careful. Don't underestimate your power, because you are going before these people that want some services, because you are a company now. You have got wares to sell. So your way of thinking is now different. You know, you need me because I can solve problems for you. I can provide services for you. It changes everything. But if you see yourself as, oh, I'm just I'm just looking for a job, please give me something, you put yourself in an inferior position. But if you see yourself as a company that you have invested so much in this company that it is a very high functioning company that has a lot of skills, a lot of problem solving ability, you see yourself in a slightly different way. You are confident. You are able to sort of face the interview panel and tell them, look, I'm here to sell you services. And actually, it will cost you money because you cannot replicate what I'm going to give you. Yeah. So think about it this way. Now, the end note for me on this slide is the fact that going forward, as we are seeing, AI is going to be something that we will see in all areas of human endeavor. When I say human endeavor, I'm talking about business now. Business in terms of transportation, chemical, the refineries or oil and gas as we have in Nigeria, agriculture, name it, will be in banking, finance, engineering, everything will be infused with AI. But the AI that will survive is the one that is backed by good science and engineering. So you need to be good in science and engineering to be able to do good AI. That's what I'm trying to say here. And there's will be a job for the next foreseeable future in this particular area. So I'll probably just tarry a little bit and ask, do you have any question about this paradigm shift I'm trying to propose to you in terms of see yourself as a company, see yourself forming your own company that is able to provide services. And to be able to provide services, you need to have knowledge. You need to have a deep understanding of the principles of what you're doing, or else you cannot solve anybody's problem. Does this make sense? Do you have a question for me on this one? As I said, this for me, it's a conversation I'm having with you guys. So let's have a conversation.
For me, Prof, it's all making sense. Yes, sir. And I think one pep talk you had with us sometimes in 2019 or 18, you also mentioned something like this. Yes, I'm my company. I'll build my own company. It all starts with me and all. Yeah, so it all makes sense for me.
Thank you. So really, so when you look at it from this point of view, so even when you go to graduate school, your supervisor is buying your service because you're going to do research with this person to solve a problem. If you don't want to go to graduate school, you want to go out to work for somebody, you are sending your service as a company to that person, to that company. If you want to go out and finish your degree and start up your own company, again, it's still a company. So I see this paradigm as very empowering. I see something that empowers you to be able to think differently about yourself, something that makes you think big things, that makes you feel, I can do stuff. Okay, so let's move on. Now, I want to use the next set of slides now to also give you a reason why you want to be good. Now, if you look at
Sorry, sir. Okay, I don't know. Someone has a question.
oh yes, yeah, go ahead.
When you asked. Okay, Favor.
Please go ahead.
Okay, please, can you hear me?
I can hear you very well, yes.
Okay, sir, thank you very much for the talk. Concerning the stuff about building yourself to be a company like that for providing services. So I wanted to ask, I know it's possible for like someone to have like different things that you're interested in that like, okay, I'm interested in this, I have interest in this, and you can have a bunch of things. Like, how can you like choose one particular thing that you can maybe build yourself on? Or is it advisable to like maybe pursue two different things at the same time to like build yourself on that kind of thing, to like make yourself the company that you were talking about? Thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you for that question. Now, my answer to you will probably how do I say, surprise you. Now, I'll give you an example of saying, you know what a laser is?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
You know what a laser is? A laser is a kind of it's a monochromatic source of light in a way. Monochromatic in the sense that it's just like a one frequency. And the power lies in that focus, in that being a monochromatic kind of a source of light. Now, in my view, I say you need to have one deep passion. You need to have one deep passion, because that is what allows you to have undiluted attention to that stuff. Because if you do not have that, it will not work. It will not work, because you have so many things to put your energy upon, that the bundle of energy you have, or should I say the bandwidth that you have to be able to expend, you now have to expend it on so many things that in the end it will be weak. It will be weak. Your attention will be weak. If your attention is weak, it's most likely that the outcome will not be what you're expecting. However, if you decide, you see, it's a kind of, how do I say? I use the word laser for a good reason, because if you want to, you know how you can use a laser to even cut the flesh in a way. Yeah, it's because of the power. If you just, if you just shine light on somebody, it may not cut them, it may burn them a little bit. But if you put a laser, you can cut a very clean flesh with laser. So that's how you want to see yourself. You want to be so focused that even when you're sleeping, when you wake up, or when you dream, that stuff is troubling your dream. That's when the solution will come. That's when you will succeed. Now, when you say you have a bunch of ideas, a bunch of things you want, try to think about it in terms of how can I narrow down to the point to say, what is it that I really want to do? What is it that I'm good at, that I feel passionate about, that I feel, look, when they wake me up and I'm still drudgy in my head and they ask me a question about this stuff, bang, I know it. I can give the answer. I can see through things. Look, when I was studying at IFE as a student, I remember very well. In fact, it was so funny because in my days, you need to pay for the form and do the exam to go to IFE, and you have a first choice, second choice, third choice, and that kind of stuff. And my three choices was EE. Choice number 1, EE. Choice number 2, EE. Choice number 3, EE. And I remember my parents saying, "Boy, are you mad? Can't you choose something? Suppose you don't get it." I said, if I don't get it, I'll try again. That's what I want to do. That's it. I don't want anything else. That's just what I want to do. Okay, I got it. So you need to have that singularity of mind. I'm sorry to put it this way, to succeed. It's important. In fact, your question is a very good question, because it will also be, the answer I'm giving is for everybody. You need a singularity of mind, a singularity of purpose. If you go to graduate school, your boss will give you a problem to solve. You cannot say I have seven problems to solve. You won't solve any. It's just one problem you solve, and in the process, you begin to see more insight. And all the sub-problems will come. Those becomes the sub-problems, like in this case, Jeff Bezos started as a company to just sell our books. And they said, we'll sell the books in the best possible way. Let's assemble some kind of technology that will make it possible. In the process of doing that, they build a platform where they can showcase the books they want to sell to people. And they also have you can actually thumb through those books on their website. Then over time, they found out, okay, now we've built this thing, sun is good. Okay, why don't we still have some real estate on the side that we can sell to other people? They started inviting other people to come and sell. I still want to sell books, but some people might want to sell garments, they might want to sell crockery, they might want to sell something. I give them a room to sell, because I now know how to enable those people. Can you see that they have not yet changed their passion? It's about selling stuff. Yeah, it's about selling stuff. But they begin to sell so many other things. So is that singularity of purpose? I believe that's very important, because through that, many other things will become open to you, and you find that you can diversify, but it will be in a way that is controlled. You see everything yourself. You can see through it. And being able to see through things is what keeps you able to reinvent yourself. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you very much.
Okay. So now let me go now to answer your, this is going to answer your question in a different way now. Now, if you look at all the big tech companies that we have around now, when I say big tech companies, we're talking about the American companies essentially that we know. Okay, Google, Meta, which is Facebook, NVIDIA, that's all your GPUs and so on and so forth, Amazon. Let's take Google. Google said, we'll search. We'll do search for you. It's search. It's very simple, right? But when you look at search, search is fundamental to human existence. Think about our ancestors. They will go around to search for food. They go around to search for things to cover themselves. They go around to search for animals to kill, to eat, and all that. Search is fundamental to human existence. So they place themselves in that area of search. You can type this, we'll search, we give you the result. Now, when you look at that, what Google has done, Google did not start with Google Map. Google Map came later on, right? These days, if you say you want to, I was going to go to France about 3 weeks ago, and I say, oh, I want to go to France, just put in Google. It gives me a whole lot of airlines that can take me. It's a search. But the original search was not about searching for airline tickets. It was not about searching for a place to go. And so, but search, that key thing, that singularity of purpose, we shall help you to search for whatever you want to search. So long as it's searchable, we can get it for you. Google is where it is today. They search at scale. Right? Look at Meta, Facebook. Our life as human beings is about relationships. We have friends, we want to be in touch with them, we want to share ideas with them and all that. Relationship I have with University of Ife, or relationship I have with Innocent, or with Oluwadunsin, can be mapped, can be modeled as a graph. That's me, that's them, and there's a kind of a node, there's a kind of a link that bind us together. That link might be the number of times we speak to each other on WhatsApp per week or whatever, right? It's a graph of relationships. Now, if I now have such a giant graph of things around the world, I can begin to search to say, who knows who? And begin to say, oh, you know what? This your friend knows this your friend. Maybe you also want to talk to this other friend. They made a business out of that. But now, if I say to you, come and do, no, it's not true, because you don't know how to think through it. So that's what I say, that singularity of purpose, to be able to see how things connect, how things actually work, the fundamentals of things is key to most of the major companies that we see today that are having very successful. Look at NVIDIA. It's about computation techniques at scale, to be able to do billions of calculations in milliseconds or in nanoseconds. And we have talked about Amazon already. Now, if you look at Amazon Web, when they now have the problem of the warehouses, they found out, you know what, to make these things easy, let's make sure that the whole logistic chain, from getting things from the supplier to the warehouse and making sure we know where what is handled by a robot. So if you say you buy a book and I want it delivered tomorrow, that's why it's possible for them to deliver to you at that speed, because the robot knows precisely where that particular item you're looking for is in the warehouse. It goes and picks it up, gives it to the people who are going to wrap it. They wrap it up together quickly. The van or whatever that is going to take it is there waiting. Bing, take it away. And then they also have graph mining. You bought this today, you bought that yesterday. This is guys, your friend who also bought this. Maybe you're also interested in buying coffee because your friend bought coffee last week. So I'm just trying to show you this, that you're lucky to be studying science and engineering, and possibly also computer science. Some of you are also doing computer science, computer engineering. So you have at your fingertips what you need to succeed, to form your own company, based upon solid science and engineering that solves problems. Now, how many of you do you still have this Booker in Ife? You have Booker in Ife. You remember, Booker, where you go and eat some stuff? How many of you?
Yes, sir.
You remember Booker, right? I remember we were calling old the Yukon guys called old Booker. It used to be on the hill in those days. The I think it's now
Yeah, it's now the Department of Architecture.
right, exactly. So old Booker was where we used to go. But what I want to say there is about those people that provide services in Booker. They provide a service that is needed by people, by humans. We must eat. People must eat. And if you like to have a palm wine, you must drink palm wine. So you go there to drink palm wine and eat some food as well. So it's about providing service. And that service should be such that it's something that people need. So, in other words, I'm saying here to you, you're lucky, you're in a kind of field where what you're studying will help you to be able to create services that people need. And in turn, you, in a way, have your own company, whichever way you want to look at it. Either you're working for somebody, you take your own company to go and work for somebody. So you're a contractor, so to speak, or you actually form your own company and run your own show by yourself. Or you want to be a researcher. Again, it's a company that you are running in a way. So you can see that this is very important. Now, we have already spoken about the fact that undergraduate studies is becoming something that everyone has. Now people are thinking, how do I differentiate myself? Hence, we are thinking about going to graduate school. So what are graduate schools looking for? They want you to demonstrate some academic success. And if you remember, one of the first things I put at the top of my previous 2 slides was that be good, deep understanding. Now, when you say academic success, you might say, oh, just pass the course. No, don't just pass the course. You want to have deep understanding. You want to know when you write an equation, what does it really mean? What does it say if I write a differential equation that says something? What can I use it for? What can I use it to model? What does it actually mean? When I speak to my student, I say, don't write an equation for me that you cannot speak. You need to be able to speak an equation to say, this equation, this terminology is the part that talks about this. This term here is talking about this. It interacts with this in this way to give me this. That's speaking the equation. You understand deeply what it means. Then you can use it. In fact, there are companies that have been based upon just simple one equation that drives the whole company, and they're very successful. So you need to demonstrate academic success. And I'll tell you later on, I will expand on all of that. I will unpack it for you. There must be motivation and a strong work ethic. You need to be able to demonstrate all of this stuff. And then also they're looking for passion and deep commitment to the field of study. So again, that number 3 item answers the question you asked me before. If I have so many things I want to do, no, I would say, even if that is the case, prioritize and make a sequence. Don't make it something in parallel. Make a sequence. So you have a sequence of things. This is the first one I'm going to put my attention upon. And I'll work on it to the point where even in my sleep, I'll be dreaming about it. So that passion, that deep commitment to your field of study is very important. And then you need to show some leadership, integrity. And then I will not say most important, but I'm almost going to say most importantly, you need to be an excellent communicator. And communication for me means many things. I have more stuff to talk about that as we go forward. Let's now try to unpack this bit by bit. When I say academic success, what do I really mean by that? Most of the good schools that you might want to go to, when I say good schools, top schools, you want to go to Stanford, you want to go to MIT, you want to go to Imperial, or you want to go to UCLA, you want to go to UC Berkeley, or University of Wisconsin, or any good school you mention. Most of them, the first thing they want to look at say grades. Do you have the grades? What's your GPA? Because in a way, your GPA tells us something about you. It says, this guy cares about his studies. This person cares about his studies. He's diligent in a way, at least tries to do something. Maybe, okay, they give you an assignment on time. They give you some tutorials to work through on time. You do, and you get your grades. And then in some cases, they might ask you to do a GRE, that's the graduate record examination scores. That in some schools, they require you to do that. So you need to pay attention to this part. But as we said, when you have the end in mind, You begin with the end in mind. You know that from today, that tutorial, that assignment that the teacher gave, that the Professor XYZ gave me to do, I'm gonna do it in such a way that I get an A. Or I mean, I don't know what grades you guys use this day. I think you have A, B plus B, if they see the same old way that we used to do in those days. And so, for example, if you want to be a first-class student, I don't know if you have realized that it's very simple to get first-class honors. Very simple. Just make sure that every test you do, every assignment you do, you get A or B plus. Believe me, you will make a first-class honors at the end of it all. There's no, it is that simple. So that means, I remember when we used to work as a student, and I was a student of Professor Kende, and he taught us control theory and control systems. And then we have assignments to do, and we said, until we finish it, we won't go to bed. And we'll go to the classroom and work all night until we find a solution for it. We submit the assignment, then we go to bed. We won't go to class the following day because we know I've just put an A in my bank account. That's an A in my bank account. I can work the class the following day because I'll make up for it later on. And that was how we just go step by step, step by step. So it's not too difficult for you to have a good GPA. I'm not saying you need to have a 5.0, 5 out of 5. No, you don't need that to go to graduate school. Even with, I mean, you have 4.2, 4.5. It's okay. That's fine. Now, remember, you are a professional undergraduate student. Anything else is just an addition. So your profession right now is a student. So commit your time to studying and gaining deep knowledge. This is the time to gain that deep knowledge. When I say gain deep knowledge, I'm saying if they teach you something, ask questions, clarify things, get yourself some other books that will allow you to be able to get deeper understanding. Now, for you guys, you are very lucky. You have the internet. In my days, we didn't have the internet. All we had was just a library and the bookshop to go and buy books if you have the money to buy the books. So I was lucky I had a scholarship, so I could use my money to buy books. I buy books and buy books to read. On the same topic, I may have about 2, 3 books. I want to see different opinions, different ways in which they say the same thing. And that's how I say you are a professional student. So invest your time. Every time you're investing into this kind of stuff, you are building your own company. That's why I call it a paradigm shift. It changes everything for you in terms of the way you engage with your studies, the way you say, look, I'm investing in my own company. So if you can't invest in your own company, it means you don't love yourself. You want to be poor. That's what it means. It's so simple. But if you want to really be successful, you will invest in your own company. That's what people do, right? That's what people do. So you invest in it by making sure you have that deep understanding, deep knowledge of the fundamentals of your field, mathematics, your EE, electronic and electrical engineering, even things that now more recently, people used to say, in the past, we say, as an engineer, you don't need to know programming. That's not true. Data structures, algorithms, programming, all of these things should be part of what is in your kitty, what your chest of knowledge that you're going to, or the tool chest that you're going to take with you to solve problems for your clients. But if your tool chest is empty, you cannot solve any problem. And because you cannot solve any problem, sooner or later, your company will fold up. And when your company folds up, it means you're not successful. So, as I said, the good grades indicate diligence. It indicates that this person is diligent. They really pay attention. And it's an essential ingredient for success in graduate school. Because if you're working with me, for example, I say, okay, we have a research meeting on a weekly basis. And I ask you, okay, for next week, can you sort of bring me a solution to this? I want to see how this one works. Go and have a look. And then the following week, you come around, you say, I tried, it didn't work. Man, I will not be very happy. But if you come back and you say, yeah, look, I have done it, this is what I got. And in the process, I also found that this could also work this way. And I tried it. This is my report. That's the diligence we're talking about in graduate school. But it also works for your own company too. So that's what I say is the same technique you need for both. It's not one for this, one for that. No, it's the same thing. So good grades indicate diligence. So academic success is very important for most universities that are looking for students or where you might want to go. On top of that, with a very good GPA, you might even end up having a scholarship. They give you a scholarship because they feel, well, you know what? We'll invest in this guy. We'll give you a scholarship. We'll invest in this company. This company, it's like they buy shares in your company. When they give you a scholarship, they're buying shares in your company. Yep, that's how you should see it. You're telling people, buy shares in my company, and your company has nothing to give. Why should I invest in that company? Yep. Can you see this way of thinking? That when you see yourself as a company, it changes the whole way of engaging with everything. In terms of the way you invest into your own company, and in the way you also invite people to come and invest in that company. If that company does not post any dividend, does not show any success, why should anybody want to invest in it? We say, oh, can you give me a scholarship? I say, show me what you've done. And you look at their CV, there's nothing there. You look at the transcript, there's nothing there. You say, no, I can't invest in this guy. This is a waste. I can't invest my money in this because nothing will come out of it. Can you see how this works now? Okay, so do you have any question about this part? Even a comment, it doesn't matter.
Yes, sir. I think there's a question in the chat.
In the chat. Let me see the chat. Let me see the
Guys, please go ahead and ask your questions.
I can't see the chat.
Okay, I can read it out. I can read it out.
Please read it for me. Yeah. Oh yeah, okay.
Okay.
Okay, yeah, I've seen the chat
Okay.
now. Yeah, I've seen it. Okay, good. Yeah, it is being recorded. Oh, okay. At what point or how does a research become a company? Okay. Do you know the story of Larry Wall, the guy who is behind Google? Do you know about PageRank? The PageRank. PageRank was part of Larry Wall's PhD. They came up with an algorithm that allowed them to be able to sort of rank pages. That is what became the basis of Google. It solves anything that solves a problem that people are willing, people care to get solved and pay for, or in whatever way. It's a company. A company that does not solve a problem cannot exist. Think about it. Tell me one company that does not solve a problem that people care about and is still in existence. Tell me. Can you imagine one? If you can imagine one, tell me. Give me the name. So that's why you want to choose a research topic that solves a problem. And when you look at, say, what Larry Wall did in terms of a PageRank, you'll say, oh, that's a theoretical research. It's theoretical because you have not thought about it. You don't have a deep thinking about what you're doing. When you engage at the point I was talking about, you have a laser mind about it. You see through the possibilities. And I'm going to talk about this later on as well. Okay? So a research becomes a company when that research can solve a problem that people care about. Yep. Does that I think that's the only question I can see there now that we haven't answered. Yep.
Yes,
does that That's Mr. Egbewale. Does that answer your question?
Yes, sir, it does, sir. Thank you, sir.
Okay, all right. Okay, so we've talked about the academic success part of stuff. Now, let's go to the next one, motivation and strong work ethic. You need to have this sort of can-do attitude. You don't come to your boss and say, it can't be done. Or people have already done that. So why are you asking me to do it? You need to have that inner motivation. They call it the intrinsic motivation to succeed, a strong work ethic to say that, look, it can be done. We are all humans. We have brain between, we have these gray cells between our two ears. We can do something. And you want to be able to write, because at some point in your application for graduate school, they'll ask you to write your statement of purpose to demonstrate that you have motivation and strong work ethic.
You want proof of dancing? Or,
say again?
like, there's no career, there's no.
Is that a question? Okay, I continue. Anyway, so you want to write things like, I work independently, I'm able to so anticipate stuff, I'm a volunteer, I'm passionate, self-directed. These kind of words, you want them to be part of what you put in your motivation, in your statement of purpose when you apply for graduate school, because some schools will ask you to write a one-page statement of purpose. Now, to be able to do that part well, let's again do the same thing. Start with the end in mind. I want to be able to write such a thing in a year's time, in 2 years' time. So I would say, be serious about a hobby outside your technical field of study. So say, for example, I like photography. I love photography. I'm passionate about it. I take photos, do some development in my dark room and all that kind of stuff in a way. That's my hobby. It's not the same as my EE background. Okay, in some ways, there's some kind of relationship. I'm into computer vision, so I know a little bit about, I've done my research into how to build cameras, how to build sensors, I know how to do it, but I have a hobby of photography. And I can say a lot of things about it. I can tell you about the history of photography. I can tell you about the various genre of photography. I can show you some of the things I have done. So you need to have serious about something that you can write about in your own statement of purpose. You want to be maybe a volunteer, for example. When I say be a volunteer, actively be a volunteer, not a passive volunteer in something. Okay, IEEE, you guys are all members. Okay, you might choose to say, I will be the one that organizes seminars every week. That's my responsibility. I'm passionate about it. I'm a volunteer. Or I want to sort of do some service, maybe be the president or whatever. But something that you're passionate about and a cause, something that is good. It might even be something in your community in a way, maybe some self-help stuff in the community, people getting well, or about energy conservation, or about conservation in general. It could be anything of that nature that you can write about. The other point is that in any of these things, make sure that you don't give up easily, so you can show something. Because when you give up, it's half done and opportunity has gone. You cannot write anything about it. You can't show anything. It's, I'm into conservation. So what have you done? Oh, we had this project. We did this. We achieved this. We managed to get a lot of people together. We planted 24 trees in this area, and the trees are now growing. That's commitment. And you can showcase it and write it up and say, I did this. Look at maybe you have a web page to showcase what you've done, or you can even give the GPS location of where the forest that you planted something, whatever. Also, maintain some kind of portfolio or a diary to substantiate your claim. So whatever you do, have a private diary, write it down. Right, so on this day we met with these people, we did this, we did it. Second day we did this, date it. So when it comes time to write, you can look at your diary and write with some kind of certainty. You can put dates, and that's where your writing becomes authentic. People can believe it. So this idea of being able to do something and not give up, motivation, strong work ethic is very important in graduate school. They want to see it, and you want to be able to demonstrate it by being able to write that as part of your maybe statement of purpose or so. Now, passion and deep commitment to the field. Again, you need to be able to show that you are really interested in the area. That's important, because if you said to me, oh, Philip, I want to come and work with you, I'm interested in medical image processing, I would just ask you, so what do you want to do? What problem do you want to solve? Oh, I want to do medical image processing. It means nothing to me. But if you say, look, oh, I have noticed that it's very, very difficult to be able to do segmentation of the slice of the MRI slices of the brain because of the way the tissues are combined and the fat part, I say, wow, this guy knows his or her onion. This guy knows what they're talking about. They know the problem. That can only come because you are passionate about the field. You have a deep commitment to the area. So you need to have something. That's why I was saying that you need to be like a laser. If you have too many things, it's not going to be easy for you to write something. So how do you go about doing this? You're already doing something now. Join a professional body like IEEE. When I say join, it means that you subscribe somehow as a student member. So they send you magazines that you read and take notes. Even if you don't want to do that, make sure you subscribe to something that you can read the latest invention, advances in your intended field of study. It's very important that you know what is actually going on in that area. It's like saying, okay, look, oh, I like music. Oh, okay. So what instrument do you play? Oh, I play the guitar. Oh, so which kind of guitar? Oh, just a guitar. No, there are many kinds of guitar. Oh, okay, I didn't know that. It means that you're not really tuned into the stuff. Okay, so no. Oh, I like to play the acoustic, classical acoustic guitar. That's what I play, and I can. All right. So this guy knows the differences between the different kinds of guitars. It's not an electric guitar. It's not a bass guitar. It's acoustic, classical acoustic guitar. That's what he likes. So that kind of level of details you need to be able to know about your field. And the only way you can do that is to be part of a professional body where you get supplied with information about latest advances, inventions in the area, what is the latest product people are looking at. You also need to understand what constitutes a problem in your field of study. And the only way you can do that is by reading articles, journals, conference articles. You might say to myself, I don't know how, when I pick up any of those papers, I can't even understand what is going on. No, you can. Because if you go to graduate school, you will start reading those journals and you won't say, I don't understand it. It's because you have not been diligent about it. That's why you think you can't read them. Even when I was at IFE as a undergrad, we used to read IEEE journals. And not because the teachers ask us to read them. It's just for fun. We just pick attribute transactions on the communications. We say, and we see things like double sideband communication, double sideband this, and we say, oh, so we have done some of this literature in class already. How does this mean? We'll look at the equation, try to understand what the equation means. That's showing interest. That's showing interest, trying to understand what is actually going on. And in most cases, when you look at the absence of a paper, it tells you the problem they're trying to solve. So you need to be able to now say to people when they say, okay, I want to go to graduate school, what do you want to do? You want to write a problem statement, Similar purpose, different from the problem you want to solve. You want to be able to write something about it. Yep. So that's the people. Now, number 5 point I have here, I put it there because very recently, I would say as far back as maybe 7-8 years ago, I started getting a lot of requests from students from India. They're undergraduate students. Look, I'm so they send you their CV. Can I do an online internship with you? Give me a problem to solve, and I will work with you online to solve the problem, research problem. And initially I thought, wow, that's really different. Okay, so I gave the guy a chance. I said, okay, yeah, okay, I'll throw something your way. So we started working on some stuff and all that. You know that we ended up writing a conference paper. And the guy never came to Australia, was in India. Now, I know what he wants to do. What he wants to do is to be able to use that paper as part of his submission for graduate school. That guy is not coming to Wollongong University to study with me. No, he's going to go, he's trying to go to MIT, he's trying to go to Stanford. And he knows I need to have if I can get a research paper to show them that I have experience in doing research. Look at what I have published with a professor somewhere. That is kudos for you. It's a tick on your CV. It's a tick on your application. So if you can do that, do it. And the way you can do that, you can do it not just with an international professor or whatever. You can do it locally. You can go to one of your professors and say, look, do you have a problem that you are solving, your research group? I don't mind to work for you. Yes, they're not going to pay you, but that's not because you are actually paying them by saying, I'll offer you this service. Again, it's your company that you are trying to sell the services of government. I can do A, B, C, D for you. That code that you need to write to implement something, give it to me. I'll write that code for you in 1 week and do all the experiments for you. Your company is selling services to this professor. In turn, you write the outcome for you. It's a paper, which becomes part of your own tools now, part of your own CV, part of your own accolade. So you end up being a co-author of a research paper with a famous person or with a professor. That speaks volume for you. So this idea of saying passion, deep commitment, it's not just simply saying, oh, I'm an EE student. I love EE. No, you need to actively do some of the things I have put here. That's very important. And even if you don't want to go to graduate school, still do these things. You'll be surprised how it will help you with your job, with your own startup company that you want to form. All of this will help you towards that as well. Any question about this part? Do you have any questions? Let me see the chat.
No question at all.
All right.
No
I
question.
have a
Okay.
question, sir.
Oh, okay. Please go ahead.
Yeah, thank you so much for the wonderful talk, sir. So mine is about, okay, you talked about picking up problems and approaching the professor and all that. Now, imagine you are working under somebody and probably they pose a problem at you. So I'm not being pessimistic. However, is there a possibility that the scale of the problem you are being given is way actually beyond your knowledge? And in that particular case, what can you do? And another thing I also want to mention is I feel like we are trying to narrow the topic down to electronics and electrical engineering. So how about students who are studying left, but then they might also find themselves like engaged in some other things later in life. So I would like you to really broaden the topic and maybe talk about it a little bit. Maybe there are some students who have some other talents other than being electrical engineers in the future and all that. Yeah, thanks so much, sir. Yeah.
Okay. Now you have asked me about two questions now. The first one you ask is about, you're given a problem that is beyond you. Now, no problem is beyond you. It's the way you approach it that matters. And I have some tools that I give to my graduate students when they come to me and say, look, this one page is about how to read a paper. Study very well, and it will help you to be able to pick up any paper and understand what's going on there. Now, it goes back to what I said earlier on, deep understanding of even what you're studying right now. You'll be surprised how much you already know. You will be surprised about how much you already know. If you think about it carefully, you'll find that you've been given so many tools already. Okay, by the time you're in part 4, you will have done all the circuit theory, you've done signals and systems, Fourier transform, Laplace transforms, you will have done some control theory, stability analysis, you will have done all those kind of stuff, right? And communication systems and all that kind of stuff. So you already know a lot. So if you go to a professor and say, I want to work with you, oftentimes I think it's better for you to ask, give me a problem. At your level, you can say, give me a problem. Because if you say you have a problem you want to solve, most of the time, the kind of problem that you guys want to solve, you want to build a system. Building a system is it's not an easy thing. When you want to build a system, it's not an easy thing. But to solve a small problem, it's much easier. And that is how you start getting your teeth into how to solve problems. Once you get to know how to solve small problems, it becomes easy for you to approach bigger problems, big systems. Even when you have a big system, you still need to cut it down into several parts and solve them bit by bit, and then put them all together to excuse me, to solve the whole system problem. So don't be afraid. Go to a professor and tell them, I want to work with you. What are you working on? I'm interested. And you tell them, give me a few papers to read. Give me a few papers to read. But if you give you a few papers, there are many tools on the internet that you can use to be able to find papers, and even papers that you can help you to find other papers as well. So there are several tools you can use to be able to approach solving a problem. And I don't believe that any problem can be above you, especially if it's in this field. Now, going back to saying to broaden this talk to go beyond EE. What I'm saying, I'm just using EE as an example. Even if you are doing a social sciences subject, what I'm saying applies to you. If you can extrapolate it, if you have a deep understanding of what I'm saying, that's why I say, ask me questions so I can unpack most of this for you. It applies to everything. Even if you're in the biological sciences, it does apply as well. If you are in the physical sciences, biological sciences, even if you're doing medicine, it applies to you. Believe me, it does. It's not. This is not just for EE people. No. It's not. It applies to all fields of study. But I need to sort of anchor it on something concrete. That's why we're using EE as an example.
Yeah. All right. Thank you so much, sir. Yeah.
Yep. Does that clarify things for you?
Big time, yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
Okay. To unpack it further, okay, you give me one, just whatever. Give me one area that is not EE, and I will tell you how this can be applied to it. Give me an area that is not EE. Just mention one.
That's English and literary studies. Yeah.
Okay. English and literary study. Okay, let's say you are an English major. In the area of English major, one of the things that you want to be able to do, say, for example, say maybe you want to be a journalist because you did English, you want to end up being a journalist, or you want to be an author, or you want to go on to work for maybe United Nations as something in that kind of area, international studies or international area of work. You will need to be able to show that you are competent academically. You need to show that you are competent. So your writing skills, your ability to write creatively, to be able to sort of, how do I say, put together maybe a whole book, or to put together a play, to write a poem or whatever, has to be very good. That's what we're saying about being the academic success here. So when you say you're a professional undergraduate student, commit yourself to we're talking about mathematics. That means you need to know your onions in terms of so supposing you're doing English, as you said, well, the grammar, the syntax, everything, how to put all of this together, all the various forms in which you need to be able to put together something that is of good quality literary piece of work. Yeah. And if you can show good grades in that, then people say, yeah, that's academic success. And when you now say motivation, now supposing you are the one that writes, maybe in your own your hobby is to write a column for a newspaper, and you choose to write on maybe the politics of poverty, or you want to write on food security, or you choose something, or you want to write on climate change as your own area. You see, so that could be something that you're doing as something separate from, say, I write for a newspaper and I'm passionate about it. I can show 3, 4, 5 articles I have written for a big newspaper. It could be simply a column you write for them. It could be, even if it's not, you're not being paid as a columnist, it could be simply that you're writing opinions for papers. And you can say that people really like my opinion, or this kind of stuff. You can show that. So it still applies, yes? And then we say, having a deep passion for something. You're a member of the Literary Society or the English Association of Nigeria, or the Writers Association of Nigeria, you have whatever. It still applies. You want to be an intern with maybe, say for example, let us just say for example, you're able to seek internship with, say, United Nations, and with one of the people there that you write for them. You're the one that sort of prepare their speeches, or even say a politician, for example. You say, I want to be an intern in your office. I'll write your speeches for you. I do research for you to be able to know what is going on, synthesize stuff for you. Read some new legislation and try to synthesize what it means, or read something happening in the world, some world events, and be able to synthesize so the person can have a good digest of what's going on. It applies. And if you want to be able to write papers, again, you can go to an English professor to say, look, I want to work with you to, what's your research? What research are you doing? Can I be an assistant for you? So am I right? Maybe, I don't know the kind of papers they write in English. It might be simply they write something they look at maybe some contemporary issues and write about it. That could be maybe that's part of what they do in English. But this also applies. It does apply. Does that help?
Yeah, yes, sir, it helps. Yeah, thank you so much.
Okay. Now, leadership. Leadership. People always say, oh, to show leadership, I have to be the chairman of the association, so everybody fight hard. I want to be lead. I want to be. No, you don't need to be the chairperson or the president to show leadership. Leadership is about responsibility, accountability, confidence, strong communication skills, and being able to build a relationship. It could be that you are the one that organizes, say, for example, we're going to have a field trip to Kainji Dam. I don't know whether they should do that this or not, to go and look at the electric power plant there and see how well. I'm going to go to Shiroro Dam and see something, or we're going to go to Igmi power station, or we're going to go to the broadcasting station to see some stuff in the way. That's part of leadership. They assign you a task. You do not fail. You bring it home. You bring the bacon home, as we say in Australia. You bring the bacon home. You make sure it happens. You do not fail. Accountability. Okay, you're entrusted with some stuff. You want to give account how it happened. What is it? Well, give a kind of feedback in terms of maybe debrief. This is how this happened. This is how we spend this money, or this is how we account for the resources that was given to us. And you do this confidently. Building relationships in terms of forming your own network. Now you have all these people here. Okay, I can say that. Yes, it's true. I have tried to sort of make myself available to you guys, but the fact that Innocent and Oluwadunsin have kept contact with me is what made this possible, because talk from time to time here and there. I don't need to talk to them every week, but that relationship building makes it easy for them to say, oh, can you do this? Or can you suggest someone? And I did suggest another friend of mine, Professor Mufumi at Santa Cruz, that could also give a talk to you guys as well. That relationship building is very important. Network is very important. And as I said earlier on, one of the reasons why you want to go to graduate school is so to extend your network. I'm not talking about Facebook people here now. I'm talking about network, people that you shake hands with. You see them physically. You know what makes them tick. You have coffee with them, you have meals with them. And that's what builds those relationships. So that's very important. That's part of leadership. Because with that, you can make things happen. You can influence things to happen. So and you find that it doesn't matter in which organization you work or where you find yourself, these same skills are very important. This come up every time. So don't always think that it's only if I'm not the chair of something, I cannot write anything about leadership. You can. By even being a member of an association and you perform a role there, that's leadership. But you have to write it in such a way that you show that you demonstrate responsibility. I was responsible for blah, 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 and it resulted in X, Y, Z. Right? I was able to sort of communicate this idea to people and convince them that we should do this. And when we did it, it resulted in this. That's leadership. Of course, if you're the president or the chairperson, maybe it's even more evident. But even in that case, it's even harder for you because you have to say, yes, you were the president. What happened when you were president? What did you do? What was the outcome of it? How did you motivate people? How did you change everything? So these are things you want to think about as part of what you do day to day in your preparation for graduate school, in your preparation for your own company. Being able to show up and bring the bacon home. Now, the last one is about communications. And when you say communications here, writing, verbal communication, being able to listen, and even being aware of verbal cues, non-verbal cues. People do their eyes something, or people, you can feel that people are not comfortable, they fold their arms or whatever. Being able to read all of that is part of communication. And it's part of what develop your own emotional intelligence as well. And you want to be able to use all of this to be able to convey a message to your target audience in such a way that you can carry them along. No one is left behind. To know when to, for example, I've tried as much as possible to stop and ask, do you have a question for me? To sort of empathize with you that it may be that what I'm saying is not clear. And in most cases, it's not clear. I should not just assume that it is clear. I have to be able to say, can you give me feedback? Do you have a question for me? Do you have a comment you want to add? That's part of communication skills. And the one that I'm so big on is writing. Write. Especially if you go through graduate school, you will need to know how to write, and write in a very efficient and elegant manner. And we'll talk about that a little bit later on. So I've sort of gone through 5 stuff that you remember how we started? We have 5 demonstration of academic success, motivation and strong work ethic, passion and deep commitment to whatever you're trying to do, the field you want to study, doesn't matter what it is. Being able to show leadership and integrity, and being able to communicate in an efficient and excellent manner. So these are the things that will help you a lot in graduate school. Of course, you need to sort of fill out the form, your name and all that kind of stuff. But believe me, I did my research and I synthesized what they're looking for into these 5 key areas. So now, I will sort of stop a little while here at this point and ask you, do you have any questions? Do you want us to unpack anything more here that is not clear?
Yes,
are you able to? Are you able to?
Questions on the chat.
On the chat. Okay, let me look at chat again. Give me a second. Okay. Right. Okay, how can somebody who does not have background in EE or physical sciences move into a graduate career in these major tech fields? Easy. Okay, I'll tell you another story. Let us say, for example, I teach a subject called machine learning in my university here at the graduate level. They're master's student. I teach them machine learning. And because all our degrees are accredited by the Australian Computer Society, one of the conditions is that a master's degree, at least in Australia, should not have a prerequisite that bars people who are not computer scientists from going into it. So I ended up having people that have accounting degree as background in my machine learning subject. I ended up having a guy that has a bachelor's degree in English language in my machine learning subject, because they want to become computer scientists through this master's degree conversion, so to speak. Now, is it easy for them? Only they can tell. But I can tell you that they need to do a lot of work because there are gaps to be filled. It's for a good reason that people start with, say, Bachelor of Computer Science, Bachelor of EE, and then continue to Bachelor of Computer, Master of Computer Science, Master of EE. But believe me, you can fill the gap if you're ready to do the work. So in most cases, what we ask them to do is to do a graduate diploma to start with. So they will do a graduate diploma in, say, computer science, because I'm in the School of Computer Science now. Or they'll do a graduate diploma in electrical engineering, whereby they will give them subjects that, say, for example, in computer science, they will do things like data structures, algorithms, they will do some programming subjects, they'll do some things on maybe operating systems, just a few subjects to just sort of fill up the gap, to give them the language, to give them the ability to pick up literature and read it and understand what's going on. It's about building the language. That's what it's all about, building the language, because we're speaking to each other right now because we understand this language that we're using. And it makes sense to you because you understand what I'm saying, what I'm trying to, the message I'm trying to convey. So the same thing with any field of study. They have some taxonomy, some kind of language they use to describe problems, to describe solutions. That's what the person wants to get. So if you're able to get that in a graduate diploma, then do a master's degree in that same the area you want to do a transition into, then you're as good as you're good. You can do that. That's as possible. Does that answer the question? Does that answer the question? The question is from Egbe Wale. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, he's not currently on the call, sir. I think he maybe network issues. So there's another question on the chat, sir.
Okay. The next question on the chat is on the subject of research. Reading online papers and publications by companies about their breakthroughs is a way to get relevant and valuable research ideas. However, some of the problems posed in these papers are on a more industrial scale. Is it possible for undergrads to assist/contribute to growing tech with the goal of writing, co-authoring a research paper in mind? Now, if you say you read, when you say online papers by companies, what companies of what nature are you talking about here? Can you give an example of what you mean by a company?
Yeah. Fred, are you there?
Oh, okay. So,
hello, Fred.
Quantum computing companies, for example. Okay. So when you say quantum computing companies, they write a paper, you mean their staff member write a paper or the company writes something? Because usually, if the staff member writes a paper, it's to solve a small problem. If the company is talking about what they do, of course they have to write the big picture, the big things they're trying to do. You're not in that league. That's not what you're looking for. You're looking for papers written by staff members that work for companies, that work for universities. That's what you're looking for. The kind of paper that you want to engage with are those kind of papers. Usually the kind of things that you mentioned, if I understand it very well, I call those ones trade articles. They want to just write some big ideas and write some stuff to show that they're big, they're doing some stuff. The papers I write, I don't solve the whole. Okay, one more thing I want to let you guys know is that I tell my students, you cannot boil the ocean. You cannot boil the ocean. But if you take a cup of water from the ocean, you can succeed in boiling that water. Am I clear? Am I making a point here? Usually on
Yes, sir.
Okay. I'll go over it again. You cannot boil the ocean, but you can take a cup of the water from the ocean and boil it, and you succeed. Keep this in mind. Keep this in mind. It's very important. So when you see a huge problem, no, you can't solve it. Nobody can solve it. That's why you find there are so many papers people are writing about so many things, and then eventually people try to piece things together to make the whole solution bigger and bigger and build a system out of it. Now, when I read the follow-up, you say usually some of these are also from university and research organizations. Okay, let me give you an example of the kind of work that I do. I'm interested in computer vision, and we look at human action recognition. That means you give me a video where people are doing various activities, maybe running or punching or trying to get together or whatever, and I'm able to say to you, in this video, there are people running. In this video, there are people who are trying to punch each other, or they're trying to fight, or someone is drinking from a cup. We can do this kind of stuff. Now, that is part of a bigger system. A bigger system would be, say, for example, we now put a camera in your SUB, in Ife, SUB, where you have the shops, right? We put a camera there and we say we want this camera to be able to tell us if people are trying to sort of maybe vandalize the windows and punch into the window or something of that nature. So I have to now engineer my own solution now to be able to put it into that camera so that I can install the camera and do the analysis in real time to be able to determine maybe in a particular fixed area of the shops, is somebody trying to sort of punch into the window. Then I say, hey, there's somebody trying to vandalize this stuff. Now, to build that kind of human action recognition, it's more than that. In fact, it becomes much more even difficult because we're not talking about a system control about the lighting. I don't have control about the way the people are going to approach the camera. It could be from behind, it could be from the side. It becomes even harder, right? So that becomes another sort of engineering problem. I need to engineer what I already have as my research paper. Usually cannot be taken straight away into this to solve this problem. No, it cannot. It has to be taken and then re-engineer here and there until it becomes solution for that. So you can see there are two problems here. One is to say, I want to build a surveillance system that is able to determine whether or not somebody is trying to vandalize something. That's a big problem. I'll say, I want to do research to be able to determine whether or not somebody is drinking water or is trying to sort of put their shirt over their head, or a small set of actions. And beyond that, my paper will not work beyond that because I have not trained it to be able to do, say, for example, you're trying to put your shoes on. I need to have data set to be able to train my system to do that as well. So research papers are usually limited in terms of what they do. And you can follow them. You can understand what they're trying to do. But it's when you now say, what do you want to do? Oh, I want to build a surveillance system. I say, you can't. Companies build that. You don't have the resources to do that. Companies do that kind of stuff because the tooling required is like, say, I'm going to build a phone. Yeah, you can do research that goes into the phone. But to build a phone, the resources you need to build a phone, in my experience when I was working for Motorola, when we were making phones, it requires close to about 2,000 engineers to make a phone ready. So when someone said to me, I'm going to make a phone, I just laugh. Because they say, you don't know what you're talking about. That's why you say that. So research, fundamental research or applied research, looks at I won't call it toy problem, but smaller problems of a bigger problem. And that's why I said you cannot boil the ocean easily. You can take a cup out of it, boil it. Take another cup, boil it. Take another cup, boil it. You fill a bucket. You build a small system. Even that system that you build has got its own limitations. So does that answer your question? This is oh, okay, anathema. Okay, all right, but we have more time to discuss later on anyway, so we can discuss more. Let me open the chat on the side here so I will not miss it as they come up. Okay, excellent. So now let's go further. What I want to talk about next is you are a young investigator, and what advice do I have for you? Okay, you now have done all this that we talk about now. You gain admission to a good school in the US, in the UK, in Australia, in Canada, wherever. Because I mean, I'm thinking in my head that that's the idea. That's what you want to go overseas to do your postgraduate studies. That's the idea. Of course, if you want to do it in Nigeria too, it's okay. All I'm saying still applies as well, even if you're doing it in Nigeria. It doesn't matter where you want to do it. Okay, so there's a guy that I like a lot. His name is Santiago Ramon y Cajal. And I have here his short biography. He's a scientist, and he's known to be the father of modern anatomy and neurobiology. And in fact, apparently the conception of the modern conception of the brain was due to this guy. And he published a lot of stuff on the nervous system, and so on and so forth. But well regarded. He even won a Nobel Prize. You can see that he won a Nobel Prize. So here are some advice for the young investigator, and I try to sort of get some of them that I want to share with you. The first thing he said was that the only thing that is in your power is preparation, which is what we've been talking about all along. The only thing in your power is your preparation. Because when you say you want to do research, you want to form your own company, you need to prepare somehow. Whatever you want to do, that preparation constitutes getting that deep understanding, mastering the bodies of knowledge and techniques known to be relevant to what you're trying to do. And if you say, oh, there are some kind of ways I'm going to do so I can make a discovery, in most cases, discovery is accident. But there are ways to logically study things. There are ways to sort of pick a topic, a particular area of a problem, and inch by inch study it. Of course, you start by looking at what are other people doing? What is this problem? Try to sort of understand the problem deeply. Once you understand the problem deeply, you ask yourself, I'm not the first one to understand this problem. I'm not the first one to look at this problem. What are other people doing about it? And how do they propose to solve the problem? What do they do? You always learn from what others can have done. Not to the point where you let their ideas kill your own idea. You put your own idea aside, have an open mind, look at what they've tried to do. Yeah. So once you are prepared and you can see things, and that's what this guy is trying to say, the preparation ensures that when the unexpected happens, that odd phenomenon that looks like maybe it has never been done before, that technological breakthrough, you will be the first person to know that, wow, this is great, this is important. It will be similar to when Larry Wall came up with the PageRank equation, and they felt, wow, this is big. This can do something. No one has done this before. We can use this to actually rank the web. Okay, let's do it. That breakthrough, it can only come, the recognition of the breakthrough, to be able to know its significance, to grasp that, can only come because you have studied so well that you know your onion, you know what is possible up to this point, what people are doing. So you can say, yep, that's something new. So preparation is important. Then he warned us, he said, we need to be very careful about brilliance. You know, that's mastery of skills, knowledge that is non-knowledge, which is what I have asked you to do, to, learn what needs to be learned. Be good at all of this, but be careful, be suspicious. Yeah, because if you put too much focus on just what has been done, say, for example, the Fourier transform. You all know about the Fourier transform. If you're not in EE, I'm sorry, but Fourier transform is one of the tools you can use to analyze a signal, to be able to break it down into its frequency components in a way. Now, you ask yourself, what else is there to know about this? Of course, there are more things to know. There are limitations of the Fourier transform, situations where it cannot work. You want to know those things. So you're not just bound to say, oh, because they have told me about Fourier transform, I hold that tool, I will use it forever till I die. There will be some other new things that can supersede it. Yeah. So work hard. Work hard. And it's the only way you can discover new things, by working hard and not just holding on to things of yesteryears. Of course, you need to know what is there before, but you don't hang on to it as your crutch to say, that's all that matters. You want to go beyond that to say, query things. Don't believe everything you see. Okay. Yes, please, go ahead. Okay, right. So this speaks to the same as I said, no theory, no method, no experiment, nothing is perfect. So with that in mind, that nothing is perfect, it means that you are the one required to get the next iteration to make it a little bit more perfect. Even the one that you have done is not perfect either. And don't wait till everything is perfect before you can say, I'll make it into a product, or I'll make a company out of it, or I will do X, Y. No, even without being perfect. For example, every software you buy, there's a version 1, there's a new version next year, a new version the following year. If it's perfect, then there will never be a new version. The second point he made here is very important. And I do this a lot. I said to my students, I cannot teach you anything. I cannot teach you anything. I can show you what you need to learn. When I say that, I say it with a lot of how do I say, intent, because I don't know everything, and I do not know how you will approach what I think I know. So rather, I'll show you the way you need to learn that stuff. This is important to learn. These are some techniques to learn it. You do the learning. So I do not call that teaching. Yes? So because if I teach you, the errors that I have made, I will also teach that to you. And we'll propagate that over and over. It's not a good idea. So I will say, I know some stuff. I have gone through some steps. This I found very important. This is important. This is important. The way to learn it, be careful about it. Be careful about it. So always try to see, how do I learn to learn? That's what I'm trying to say here. How do I learn to learn? That's your job. Don't wait for anyone to teach you something. Tell them, what do I need to learn? And if you have an advice on how I can learn it, tell me. The rest is yours. Of course, you need to sort of make sure that they say all work and no play makes Jack a dull boy. So you need to find some time and space for extended and total concentration on a problem. And that's why I use the word laser at the beginning when someone asks me the question. I have a lot of ideas. Yeah, you need total concentration, focus, focus, focus. Because it's only when you have that sustained concentration on something that the problem comes. Your subconscious brings the problem to you when you wake up and say, bang, I have found a solution. You come out of bed without even thinking about it. You start writing stuff down. But take time to rest. Take time to rest your brain. Now, people always say, so why do we need to learn Fourier transform? Why do we need to learn Laplace transform? These are rubbish things. They've been teaching this, and what is it good for? No. Good science make for good application. I'll tell you something that I have been working on recently. Most of you, especially in this forum, if I'm right, you are also interested in machine learning, because I know that you guys have a Saturday class that you do machine learning. Okay. Now, the current paradigm of deep learning, where you have a huge amount of data to train a model, and then we deploy the model and we're happy and you can do wonders and all that. The question that I have asked is the following. Supposing I have the equation. If I know the equation, I don't need to do any learning. I just apply the equation, bang, that's it. So that's the other extreme end of stuff. Because, for example, if you want to know the velocity of a car, or you just put the Newton's law of motion. You just plug values into stuff. You're done. You don't do a machine learning stuff to do that. So we have got models that we know about the physics of stuff. On the other extreme, we say we don't know the physics much. We don't know the equation. But if we can find a parameterized kind of function, which is your deep network, and use some data to train the parameters, we can get to where we're going. So we have two extremes now. I'm saying the real solution should be somewhere in the middle. A little bit of physics, a little bit of data-centric, should give us something that does not require too much data. And our model need not be exact and very accurate. So we can marry the two together and get something out. Then we can save energy. Because right now, in some cases, I can tell you that the amount of energy you need to train some models is just not sustainable. Let's be frank with ourselves. And when you think about the human brain, if we use the same kind of energy that we're using to train models in our brain, I think after every thinking, we have to eat some, we have to go to the booker and eat some food to be able to replenish the energy we have expended. So we don't, which means there's something wrong in the current paradigm. And that's why I said you want to look for good science, because good science makes for good application in the end, not the other way around. Yeah? Okay. So that's important. I think I will stop here and give you time to ask me questions again. Okay, no questions? Okay, let's move on then. Now, I have talked about writing as being very important. You just need to know how to write. You must know how to write. And again, my friend Ramon Ikahal, in one of his writings, he said the following. You need to have, to start with, you say, you need to have something to say. For you to have something to say, it means that you have done your work. You say it, stop once it is said. Give the article a suitable title, another presentation, and you're done. That means don't put fluff. Don't beat about the bush. Write what needs to be written. And if you have something to say, say it. If you have anything to say, keep your peace. We have too many rubbish writing all over the whole place that wastes people's time. Then Kahar said the following. Let us assure ourselves, based on a careful review of the literature, that means what others have done, that the facts or ideas we wish to write about are original, that they're new. We have something new to tell the world. And furthermore, let us guard against premature publication of our observations, which means even when you think you have something to say, hold your fire, think twice. Is it ready? Can I do a little bit more before I publish this? Of course, you don't wait forever before you publish it. You want to make sure you tell the world what you've done. So how do we write? How do we write? How do we write? Your audience is important. The people you want to write for, the people you want to talk to, the people you want to engage. So that determines your choice of words, the way you illustrate things, the examples you give, the depth you go into, whether it's going to be shallow, just on the surface, or you go deeply into stuff in a way. In this case, being efficient is a key word. By saying being efficient, what I really mean is very simple. It's the style of writing that you want to communicate the most amount of information in the least amount of reading time, because people do not have time, or you want to help them save their time. So efficiency of writing means you write in such a way that there's so much information in they gain the most amount of information in the least reading time. If I read your work, say spend 5 minutes on it, I know what is going on. Yeah. So logical argument in a convincing manner, that is what we say we call efficiency. So there are two ways of looking at it. So if you want to inform people, you want to write in such a way that you communicate the most amount of information in the least amount of reading time. If you want to do a persuasion, if your work is about persuading people about a particular point of view or an argument, then you want to present your logical argument in the most convincing manner. But as a scientist, as an engineer, when you want to write, you're combining both. You want to inform and also persuade. So the two must go together in that particular case. Okay. So you say, who's going to read my stuff? Some managers, my peers, engineers, scientists. Who's going to do it? Then ask yourself, what do they know already about the subject? What's their background? So what the background is allows you to determine what to include and what not to include. You don't want to bore them what they already know. Yeah. And what terms are you going to use? What language are you going to use to be able to sort of talk to your audience? The primary audience will have the main map. Yeah. Your secondary audience, you put in the back, like appendix. Appendix could be something where you put more details about maybe the proof of some theorem or whatever. You put that in. So those who wants to really go deeper, which is your secondary audience, we go on, we read the main thing and then the back matter, which is your appendix. Then you want to organize the whole thing properly. You emphasize the details. And I used to run a workshop for my students on writing. When I used to teach research methods as well. So you organize things in such a way that people can easily find the details they're looking for. Mechanics. This is very important. I've seen people write and you read and you can't understand what they're trying to write because they have not obeyed the rules of grammar and punctuation. It becomes very hard for people to read. So pay particular attention to the grammar of English. In fact, I can recommend books for you that you can use to sort of help you as a desktop or to help you with. It's important because when people read your paper, if it's very easy to read, it conveys a message in the shortest amount of reading time. They will cite your paper. When they cite your paper, you become famous. But if it's so hard to read, they will not cite your paper. They will go on, they'll look for an alternative. And please do not use all these SMS abbreviations. People write some funny stuff that could be written properly and it's not good. You're writing a formal document. Okay. So we have got your style in terms of how you emphasize details, how you put your thoughts into words, and how you use illustration like images to illustrate the point or make an argument. Even the sentence, the length of your sentence. Sometimes I've seen people write a whole paragraph is one sentence. That's bad. I spend a lot of my time trying to help my students to rewrite their reports to say, no, you cannot write like this. The whole paragraph is one sentence. It's not on. So the structure, language, illustration, that's all part of style. So again, when you say structure, you talk about the structure of your paper, of your report. Take into consideration that you need to sort of know how to sort of vary the depth of details that you give. Maybe in the first part of it, you give like I would call it the helicopter view of things, and you go into details bit by bit. So you carry your audience with you. The transition between details and emphasis is very important. And then when you write, you have this 5 stuff that you need to take into consideration. Be precise. You say what you mean. That's precision. Clarity. Avoid things that you do not mean. Forthrightness means you convey in a sincere and straightforward attitude. Don't write things like, say, this is the most significant stuff. This is all this outlandish language. You don't want to be part of that at all. Now, be concise. Every word should count. And we say, you say what you mean. That's precision. Being concise means every word should count. What you don't need, you don't put at all. And the fluidity is about writing in a very nice and smooth manner. But I think this part that talks about familiarity, if you're writing for, say, for example, psychologists, write in their language. If you're writing for engineers, write in their language. If you're writing for English major, write in their language. If you're writing for biologists, write in their language. It's called familiarity. Anchor your language in the familiar so that people do not have to scratch their head to see, what does this mean? And oftentimes I will even say to people, avoid all these acronyms. You see some 4-letter acronym, 5-letter acronym. Write the whole thing out nicely so people can know what to actually say. Where do you publish? Now, I've done a lot of work with colleagues at IFE here in terms of we need to be very careful where we publish. Where we publish is determined by the kind of work we have done. And if you have followed the kind of things I've been talking about now, you'll find that you have got good things to say. And good things, as you say good things in the right places, in the right journal. So you want to find things that are really impactful. So there are things they call the journal impact factor. And you find, if you go to any journal, on the first page on the web, you'll see the journal impact factor 4.5, 5.8, all this kind of stuff in the web. They're important. It tells you how many citations a year that papers published in that particular paper in the previous 2 years, and the number of citable items in the previous 2 years. It's a kind of a ratio of citation. And citation means that work is important. Somebody found it important. That's why they cite it. And that's why you find that as scientists, as researchers, we worry about the H index. You say, what's your H index? Okay, H index of blah, blah, blah. It means this number of articles of yours have been cited this number of times. We talk about site score. Also, these are metrics you see in terms of how to look for papers where to publish your work. Okay. This SciMago Journal Rank SJR is also another way to sort of look for good papers to write in. Write your work in good papers. It's important for you. It's important for your career. You look back later on and say, oh, wow. Oh, I wish I didn't write in that journal. It's not a very good journal. I should have written in something else. Take your time. And then SNP, the same thing. And this is the H index, which is for authors in a way. Journals also have their own H index, but authors usually have H index, which means the number of times that particular number of articles have been cited. If you say for example, you say someone has an H index of say 50, it means that 50 of their articles have been cited at least 50 times. That's the meaning of H index of say 50, for example. And look for big conferences. Again, this is a bias in the sense that this is a computational intelligence group, from my understanding. So you are interested in machine learning, neural information processing, artificial intelligence. So these are some of the conferences, the big conferences that you want to engage with in a way, in my opinion. Read articles from these papers, from these conferences to inform yourself of the latest problems. Say, for example, CVPR is where you see the latest in terms of computer vision and pattern recognition in the world. That is where people will publish it. So every year when it happens, I tell my students, download all the papers relevant to our area, read them, summarize them, give me a presentation. And these are some of the top journals again. Now, to conclude this talk, I'm going to again go to one of my how do I say? I won't call him, well, he's a kind of a mentor that I never met because he says so many things. And his name is Richard Hammond. You might have come across this guy as an EE student when you do talk about Hammond window in signal processing. That's the guy who made that. He used to work for Bell Labs. He did so many work, a lot of stuff. And he has got some 10 key points that he advised people upon. And the first one is the following, and I like it a lot. Drop the modesty. Say to yourself, I would like to do first-class work. I want to do something big. Because you are responsible for your vision. No one is going to set it for you. You must set that. And when you set it, you walk the talk. Based upon the things we have said earlier on. You are a company. You want to be the best that can be. That means your company must have the right tools. It doesn't matter which field. Pharmacy, medicine, English major, psychology, electrical engineering, computer science, civil engineering. It does not matter what it is. You want to do first class. You want to do the best possible. And then I like this one too. He has 10 rules. I only pick some of them. Make the best of your working conditions. Do not blame the tools you have, because wherever you find yourself, there will always be shortcomings. So you will never find a place where you have everything. No. Solve problems you can with the tools you have. And one way to do that is to extend your working conditions through collaboration. Find collaborators outside where you work, overseas, in other departments, in other universities in Nigeria. Find collaborators and try to work together to extend yourself. So I will stop here and take further questions.
Yeah, thank you very much, Professor. Insightful. And yeah, guys, do you have any question? Maybe why someone comes up to ask you a question. I have a question, sir. It's
Yeah,
about
please go
that's
ahead.
under publishing. Yeah, it's under publishing. You talked about impact
Under
factor.
publishing, yeah.
Those, yeah. That's one of the things you said we one have to look out for.
Yes.
Impact factor. And according to the question you put there, I think it's the number of citations. Is it every 2 years over something down there? The
This one.
question, impact factor, yeah.
Okay, this one here.
Okay, yes.
Yeah, that
Yes.
is how it's measured. That is how it's measured.
Okay. So the question is, how about, there's some fields that permits to use this word niche. They are niche, like they're highly specialized that there may be few people doing works in that area, and that way too there will be less citation. So if I'm to make a decision on where to go publish, and because of the field I want to publish in is such as what I've said before, won't the impact factor be low, and will I still need to be using that as a criteria to know whether I should publish with this journal or not?
Okay. Let's unpack this nicely. If
Okay.
you work in a niche area, let's say you work in a niche area where there are only, let's just assume there are only 20,000 people in the world that work in that area. Yeah, that's what I'll call niche area. Yeah, you have 20,000 people that work in this particular area. That will be a conference that those people have every year that they meet
Yes,
to
sir.
talk about what they've done in a way. And there will be a known journal by those people, right? So that's what you need to publish in. But these are just guidelines. Say, for example, if you work, let's say, in the area of machine learning, for example, right? And you look at, say, these are conferences, for example. Okay, let's say, for example, you look at PAMI. That's Artificial Transform Pattern Analysis and Machine Intelligence. That is a journal that everybody that works in the area of machine learning or pattern analysis would like to have a paper in their career in that journal, to just say, I have a PAMI paper, because that's where the big things are said. So you look for your own area where the big things are said, the forum, the marketplace where people gather to talk about big things that happen in your area. You publish with them. That's all. That's what we're saying. You don't have to be wedded to say, oh, impact factor. Okay, I'll give you an example. In chemistry, or some of these areas where a lot of their work is experimental, the impact factor could go as high as maybe 50, 50, 51, 52, even 60 in some cases. Whereas you come to EE, an impact factor of even 8.4 is huge already. So it's relative. It is relative. And the more you
sir, I think I get that.
Yeah, the more you go into your field, the more you know who is who in the zoo. You know? Okay, for example, the JMLR, Journal of Machine Learning Research, that's a big journal. To get into that journal, your work needs to be very, very, very good. IJCV, International Journal of Computer Vision, yeah, it's a big journal. So we know, because we work in the field, and because you read the papers, you look at the papers, you see the way it's written, you see the contribution of those papers. You say, wow, this is huge. This is some kind of fundamental work people have done here. So for your work to be able to get into those journals, it has to be of that nature as well. So it becomes a kind of way of really making yourself, how to say, to improve yourself. Somebody has put something on the chat. Yeah, I'll make the slides. I'll give the slides to Innocent and Oluwadunsin. Yeah, if I'm right, I think we are also recording this. I'll probably, when I finish this talk, I'm sure I'll see the recording on my laptop here, and I'll probably, if I can bundle it and put it into Google Drive, so they can also have a look at it. And that's okay. So, did that answer your question in terms of where to publish? What I'm trying to say is that you have a guideline in terms of where to publish, because there are what I call predatory type of publishers that they say to you, okay, pay us some money and they will publish your work. I run away from those kind of places, because in all these ones I have here, they don't ask you for any money. You don't need to pay to publish in any of these ones, these conferences or this. No, because they know that you bring a good idea that they can put into that. That idea is what sells the journal. That's what sells the conference. You don't need to pay.
Okay, sir. Sir, I also have a question.
Okay, yes, please.
So mine is more about like finding your passion. Now,
Okay.
being an elect student, there are various fields that you can actually niche down into, and your interest just gets flared up by different things. So you're more like, you're probably, also when it comes to knowledge, you want to get this, you want to get that. So I would just like you to probably share your own personal life experience about how you're able to like niche down into, let me say, the image processing or the machine learning part of elect. So, and secondly, I forgot that. No problem.
Go ahead.
I forgot the question. I will ask probably.
Okay, you forgot the question.
Proceed.
Okay, let me try to paraphrase your first question. You say, how do you know your passion, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, so now I will try to answer the question by maybe talking about my own personal journey in terms of work. I recall when I was a student at IFE, I have always loved things about signals in general. It's just something that was, especially the electromagnetic spectrum, what it actually means, what you can do with the various frequencies in a way, was of big interest for me. And I read a lot about it, a lot. I used to read a lot. In those days, we used to go to the library and read encyclopedia because that's the equivalent of your internet. Oh, you read encyclopedia, Britannica, American this and this. You just read in general, in a way. Now, so by the time I was finishing my degree at IFE, I was not very drawn to power systems, for example, machines, and I passed those subjects, but it's not just something that just caught my attention as something that I'm interested in. I have my other classmates who are very keen on machines, power systems, all this kind of stuff in a way. Yes, I know those things, and I passed the subjects, I did, but it didn't caught my attention much. What caught my attention were more things like signal processing, communication systems, control theory, control systems. Those was where my interest lied. And at that time, I don't know whether you still have the same kind of specialization now. You can do control systems and instrumentation and then communications. So I did those majors as the concentration after my degree. So when I went to England to do my PhD, I joined a group that was into imaging, signal processing type of stuff. And the training we had at Imperial then was simply, they would ask you to spend like 3 months to find a topic that interests you. So you spend most of your time in the library just reading journal articles, talking to people, talking to professors and researchers, what they're doing and all that kind of stuff. And that's how I ended up with motion compensated image processing. That means imaging where there's also motion at the same time. How do you compensate for the motion so you don't have a kind of, if you want to call it, blurry type of processing? So I did that as my background, but don't forget, the background is still EE. So all the things I have learned in differential equations, in AM theory, even in machine and power system, they were still there to help me to think through this. I have the language to be able to talk about, but I just feel that signal stuff is the part that I like. Okay, then when I went to, I started to work in a research lab in the UK. Again, they put me in a different direction. I was put into a telecommunications group. Despite the fact that I was supposed to be in signal processing group, my project was on telecommunications. Again, your background allows you to still, because in those early stages, you are just still trying to sort of form yourself. I call it your formative years in a way. But you keep in mind some things that just make that you just can understand easily like that. That's what I call your passion. Things that you can just understand it like that. You explain something to me in area of signal, but I say, I can see that. I know how that works. Bang. That becomes your passion, something that you really love, that you can relate to easily. And you should follow that, because that's your path of least resistance that can allow you to enjoy yourself, enjoy what you're doing. In fact, right now, I said to my people, actually, I don't have a job because I'm playing. I'm just enjoying what I'm doing. So I don't call it a job. I feel good about what I do every day. It's not a job, actually. It's just play. I go to work to play. That's what I do. So, if you have that kind of relationship with your work, that's great. That's when you say you have passion for something. And my work when I started as an academic in Australia here, to do my research. I was again doing signal processing, some telecommunications, and all that. I did some research in that, did some work on speech. Speech is still signal processing. I did imaging. It's still signal in a way. I did some work on medical imaging. It's still signal in a way. And when I went to work for Motorola Research Lab, all the work we did there in terms of image coding, video coding, virtual reality, they're all signal kind of based. So you have the language to be able to understand the problem and to be able to offer some kind of solutions to the problem. That's the key, that you have the language to describe a problem and the language to describe a solution. That's how I would say you look at a passion. Because if you say you have passion for everything, I will not believe you. It's not possible. You can't have passion for everything. There are things that don't really, I don't bother about some stuff in a way, honestly. Yeah. Even right now, with all the various things happening in the world, I still say my forte, my area of, even when I look at, say, deep learning and whatever, I'm still looking at models. I'm still looking at signal models. How do I incorporate that into this stuff? How do I make sure? So because that's how you begin to have your own niche. You begin to come up with something new that people haven't done before. I don't know if that answers the question, because it's a very difficult question to answer in terms of, say, how do you meet passion?
Yeah, yes, sir. Yeah, thank you, sir. And for the other question, I think while we were talking, I could actually address it. So it was more about like catching up with the trends. So now imagine somebody who is just like starting out as a web developer. You're overwhelmed with resources you see online because you are just like, oh, this is also come, like everything is just changing so fast that you feel like it's very, very hard to catch up. So, but then I think where you are addressing that, the fundamentals are actually like will guide you in like getting to where I want to go.
Oh, definitely.
But then if you can still, but then if you can still like just say something about it, because I feel like the world is changing for so fast that sometimes we are just lost. Yeah, sometimes the topic interests you and you are like, okay, you are starting from somewhere and it's like you never get there even in the next like 5 years or 10 years. So the journey seems too long sometimes. So if you can just say something about it, I'll really appreciate it, sir. Thank you, sir.
Okay. Now, you see, the question that you ask now, one way to answer it is the following. When we were working, when I was at Motorola, one of the jobs that we need to do is called technology evaluation. And what that means is that smaller companies, startup companies will come to Motorola and say, we have a new technology, we have some new idea, we have something we want to sell to you. Now, they pass these things to us to understand and give advice and say, is it some kind of scam, or does it work? Now, what allows you to be able to do this? Your fundamental knowledge. Because there'll always be new things, but anything that is new has to rest on a fundamental knowledge. There has to be fundamentals for it. It's like someone said to you, I have devised a machine that will work forever. It just sort of breathes air and then work for it. It doesn't need to be, you don't need to have any fuel. Will you believe it?
No, sir. No, sir.
Exactly, because you know the physics of this kind of stuff. That no, it does. Life does not work this way. So don't tell me you have discovered a perpetual motion machine. It's not going to work. No. So that is the fundamentals that you want to have. That kind of fundamental knowledge, so that when something new comes, you have an idea quickly. It should work like this. So that it should work like it allows you to pick up whatever you want to pick up to read and quickly understand what's going on. You're not starting from scratch. You're not starting from scratch. So, and again, say for example, a lot of the problems that people have is that most people are self-taught. They self-teach themselves certain things, some technologies and that, but without knowing the fundamentals of that stuff. So when something new comes, you don't have anything to stand upon. You have to learn that again anew. Everything comes new from scratch. But when you know the fundamentals of what you're talking about, what you're working on, or whatever area you find yourself, the fundamentals, ask yourself, what makes this bloody thing tick? What makes it tick? If you know what makes it tick, you know how it takes. So if something new comes, you say, okay, oh, that's only an extension of this part because I know that this is also possible. So you already have an idea of the possibilities. And when they appear, it becomes easy for you. Yeah. And if you remember what this guy said, the only thing in your power is preparation. Mastering the body of knowledge and techniques known to be relevant. Yes? So that preparation, that you become a kind of like a living guru. So if there's anything new that comes, you'll be best equipped to grasp it and know its significance. Say, I'm going to use this stuff, or I know how it works. I can incorporate it into my workflow or whatever. It's about preparation in the end. And that preparation is what I referred to earlier when I said, whatever you're studying now, know the fundamentals, know it deeply. So it becomes a tool in your tool chest for your company. Because if your company doesn't have enough tools, it can't solve problems, can it? No. I don't know if that offers some solution to what you asked.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Very clear, sir. Thank you, sir.
Any other question?
Okay, guys, do you have any questions? Anyone?
No. Yeah.
Okay. So if there are no other questions, I think we can probably stop here. It's been a joy to share this moment with you guys. My time here, it's 12:30 at night, in the night. So it's about time for me to go to bed now, I think. So if you don't have any question, we'll probably stop here now.
Thank you very much, Prof. We really appreciate you for taking your time to.
Oh, yes.
There's
Okay.
a question.
Oh, I did answer the question. I did. Maybe you were not here. Yes, I think you probably stepped out. Well, yeah, I can say it again. What I said earlier on about the answer to the question, how does someone that does not have the background in the tech area enter a grad school? And what I said was that the easiest way to do it is to go through a graduate diploma first in that specific area. Let's say, for example, you have done a Bachelor of Arts in, say, psychology. Yeah, okay. Hasn't got much to do with computer science, but in a way you find that it does have something to do. But at least on the surface, it has something to do with computer science. You're just a psychologist. So the best thing to do, go and do a graduate diploma in computer science. That graduate diploma in computer science will allow you to sort of do what I call filling the gap subjects. Things like, say, data structures, programming, operating systems, algorithms, and problem solving, those kind of subjects in a way that are fundamental. Once you've done that, that allows you to now go on to do your master's degree, where you do some more specialist subject. But because you now have the language to understand the field, the master's degree becomes easy for you. Once you've done your master's now, then it becomes easy for you to say, okay, maybe I want to do a master by research. I'm talking about master by coursework to start with, please. Master by coursework, where you gain some more knowledge, fundamental knowledge. And then after that, it may be master by research, do a PhD or whatever. It will apply also if you want to go into engineering. You go and do a graduate diploma first that allows you to be able to pick up the language. When I say pick up the language, say, for example, to be an electrical engineer, for example, you will need to know some things about circuits. Circuit theory is important because it's part of what we use to describe things, the language we use to describe problems, to solve problems. You need to know about things like impedance and so forth, matching stuff, you know. So they will probably teach you all of this, signals and systems, some things about controls, some maybe communications. It depends upon what that graduate diploma is going to be in. Once that's done, you can then go on to do a master's degree. In some schools, they actually merge the two together. They make you do a master over an extended period of time. Maybe normally the master's is say 1 year. You do 2 years, and in 2 years they mix some of the background plus the master's together, or in the extent to say 2.5 years, depending upon what the school wants to do. But it is possible. You can still go from not knowing much about the field, but you need to take baby steps into it. So that is what I will probably say is the answer to the question, how does one without a tech background properly enter tech in the grad school? But in everything you do not forget, you need to sort of know your onions. Try as much as possible to know the basis of what's going on. Ask questions. Your professors know. And if they don't know, you can read 1, 2, 3 books. Each time you read a book, you're speaking to somebody. A book is a person that you're speaking to. So sometimes someone said to me, recommend a book for me. I said, well, I can't, because each book speaks to different people in different ways. Maybe the book does not speak to you. So pick up the book, live through it and see, does this speak to me? The language, is it good enough for me to be able to understand what I'm saying? Some book will be too much, use a language that is above your head. That's not a book for you. It may be a book for you 2 years later when you're more mature to understand what that person is, or the point of view of the person's communication style. So read books to gain different perspective of the same topic. I do that a lot. Even now, I still do it. Okay. All right, guys, and
Okay, thank you very much, sir. As someone is already asking for another session with you another time. Thank you very much, sir. I won't say thank you. Yes, sir.
also, must you relate what you study at the undergrad as non-tech with tech? Of course you can, because you'll be surprised how much things are really related to each other. Things are related. Things are related. In fact, it's sometimes because you have got a background that is not the same as what you're studying for graduate school, you might find that it gives you an advantage to see things in a different way. Okay, guys.
Okay. Thank you very much, sir.
Yeah, I will send the slides to